As the Japanese people rebuilt their cities after the war and expanded their industry, many changes were made in their attitudes and in their way of life. Yet much of their industrial success is due to the older traditions of Japanese life, which are still important to the people. Japan still has many reminders of its past. Castles, which were the homes and forts of its rulers, and religious temples and shrines with great works of art. At festival time, businessmen and citizens from all walks of life join the shrine priests to celebrate. The quiet temples are designed to give a feeling of nature in Japan. In this small nation of mountains, lakes, and forests, the people have had to learn to take care of their limited natural resources. The Japanese have practiced forest conservation for centuries. 2/3 of their land is mountainous, suitable only for growing trees. Water, flowing from their mountain streams and rivers, is used over and over again to produce electricity. Japan's earliest industries depended upon electricity from water because the country had almost no other energy resources. Today, most electricity is made from coal, oil, and even nuclear power, and then sent to the homes and factories of Japan. Electricity powers the trains, which connect the cities with villages and farms throughout the nation. Only a small part of Japan can be used for farming. Farms is done by the older people, while the younger men and women go out to work in nearby shops and factories. But the few families who do work full-time on their farms produce most of Japan's food. This is the Takatsuki family, who earn their entire income from farming. Today, the Japanese are learning to eat more vegetables, grains, and meat, and less rice than they used to. So the Takatsukis have switched from growing rice to growing fruits and vegetables. Of course, not all their time is spent on the farm. Children must go to school 6 days a week, plus private lessons after school, and hours each night of homework. Therefore, Sundays are one of the few times that families can be together. Winters are cold in most of Japan, but farm families keep busy with indoor crafts or home industries, making products they can sell. Grass reeds they've grown and dyed green are fed into a machine in their barn to weave floor mats. Their farm products end up in village and city stores, along with another important food of the Japanese, fish. Some fishermen work along the coast, some further offshore, and some in large ships fish for many months in faraway oceans. Every day and night, thousands of fishermen work to supply the markets of Japan with fresh fish. Although the Japanese raise chickens, cattle, and pigs, fish and other seafoods provide 1/2 of all meat eaten by the Japanese. Because of the great demand for more seafood, the many bays along Japan's seacoast are now used to grow crops of ocean plants and shellfish. Rafts are anchored in the bays and planted with young oysters, scallops, and abalone. The shellfish are fed their favorite seaweeds until they are full grown and ready to harvest. The most difficult problem in growing these seafoods is keeping the water free of chemical and sewage pollution from factories and cities. In the coastal and rural parts of Japan, only a few isolated fishing villages and remote mountain villages look like this today. Most farm and village homes are no longer much different than homes in towns and cities. Modern furniture may be in one room, usually used for receiving guests. But most rooms have traditional floor mats, pillows to sit on, and low tables. Later in the evening, this living room will be used for sleeping, with bedding rolled out on the floor mats. In some homes, the family lives in one part of the house and has a factory in a side room. The family contracts with big companies to make or assemble parts of a product. Here they are sewing handkerchiefs. In some homes, handmade looms are used to weave cloth. Cards with holes punched in them control the pattern the loom weaves. Industry started in Japan more than 100 years ago with small family businesses such as this. Small towns and villages throughout Japan now have shopping centers just as modern as in the big cities. But the Japanese still must shop for fresh food almost every day because their small kitchens only have room for small refrigerators. They like to eat in restaurants quite often. In many restaurants, seafoods are a specialty. This is a sushi shop. Sushi can be made with octopus, squid, shellfish, many kinds of ocean fish, most of them raw, and surrounded by rice and seaweed. The average family spends over $50 each month in restaurants.